Hey everybody, welcome to Public Access America's Just the Tip. Hey everybody, thank you for coming back to Public Access America. My first tip would be to keep coming back. Subscribe, like, follow, and all of that. Join us on Twitter at Public Access Pod so that you can be a part of the daisy chain of positivity that is Public Access America. I think my tip has to be to give yourself some space to feel sad when you feel sad. Depression comes up a lot, sadness, it comes up a lot. But if we give ourselves some time and space to feel it, absorb it, live in it, and think about it, oftentimes we can come out better than when we try and fight it, avoid it, and deal with the anxieties of that pressure. So take some time for yourself. You're a good person, and you do good things, but you can't do that when you're pushing yourself beyond what you can do. Thanks for listening.
It is time now for something positive.
We might be headed to the promised land, of speaking the truth and finding our external liberty once we internally liberate ourselves.
The problem can only be solved when there is a kind of coalition of conscience.
Because that is how it works. This is the beginning, it is not the finale, and that's why we're here, and that's why we rally.
We've got to be that creative minority.
Find a way to get in the way. I got in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble.
Frankly, I know we've got to do something.
Welcome back to Public Access America. My name is Jason. Jeffrey's not here right now, but you will hear him in the show because it's one of our awesome clip shows. We take clips from episodes in our past, this being the first quarter of this year, and what we do is we just put them in a clip show. What that does is it gives us a chance to review what we've heard and give ourselves a break to recharge, refuel, and reattack the situation, because sometimes when things seem overwhelming, you have to walk away to gain a new perspective, and that's what we do. And I always want to try and appreciate people in advance to show them that they matter. And these clip shows show Jeffrey that he matters. And they show you that you matter, because you really do. Thank you for listening. And it shows that I matter to myself. You can find our shows anywhere you find your favorite podcast, Spotify, Apple. Hey, for disabled people, try Victor Reader, Audible, or even ask your smart device to play our latest episode. You can find our live streams on YouTube at Public Access America, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, every Sunday. And you can find us advocating in real time on Twitter at Public Access Pod. We have some great friends. We retweet some great stuff, and we would appreciate you retweeting the stuff that we retweet to create a daisy chain of positivity to fight against the negativity that we all perceive out there. So this clip is just a little conversation that Jeffrey and I had. I just pulled it, put it in, and then edit it, and then I go back and listen. And what we did was we went all the way from mask mandates to Ukraine and everything in between. And that's important. And so we have open conversations here. If you'd like to be a part of the open conversation, go ahead and DM me on Twitter. This is a clip, and I love it, and you're going to hear it, and then I will be back when it's done to announce the next clip. I love this. It's so cool. Hey, thanks for being here.
Right. And
love you.
And you have your individual freedom to do what you want on your own property. But if you're going somewhere where we all paid taxes, then we have to keep everyone safe. And that's where the protocols came in. But people wanted to fight that. And they're still fighting that in school board districts all around the country.
Yep.
It's fascinating to me.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that there are people that are fighting it. And, I will say that, out here where we're at now is that businesses can choose whether or not they want their patrons to be masked or not.
Good.
My biggest complaint is just, can you make your signage a little more prevalent so that way I don't walk into your store and have you staring at me and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you looking at me funny? And
right.
Then when I'm sitting there wandering around, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, what's the sign say? Oh shit, you want me to be masked still?
Right.
Well, I feel like a dickhead.
I'm blind. That's when I want to carry my cane around with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't see the signage that you present.
And that's just it. It was like, it was on my left side. I didn't see it either.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, well, fuck, I feel like a dickhead because, I'm going to wander around without my mask on. And if a place wants me to have my mask on, I'm going to put my mask on. And that's just it. Like, it's about respect.
Yeah.
They have a certain wish that they would like. I'm going to respect that wish. Period. End of story.
That store owner might be immune compromised and still need the income from their store. You know what I mean? So.
And that's just it. It's like, I absolutely don't mind wearing my mask if somebody requests it.
Right.
If somebody doesn't request it, I'm not going to wear it. And that's where it just needs to be. And everybody just needs to accept that fact. Or, if a place is going to request that you, still continue to mask in the store, and that's a problem for you, don't fucking shop there. Just be like, well, okay.
It's
Move
just
on.
like it's the same thing as, will you make a cake for my lesbian wedding? No. Okay, I'm going to go to the baker across the street then.
That's one that I've struggled with that one because I get it. Like I get that this is a fight for equality, but at the same time too, if somebody's like, "Nah, I'm not going to make your gay cake," and I'm like, all right, I'm sure that I will find somebody who will make me a fantastically delicious gay cake.
I don't want to in any way be a part of you profiting along with your values. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And I'm going to tell my friends, yeah, they don't make cakes for gay people, and my friends are going to be like, yeah, fuck it. I guess I don't need to buy a cake from there.
That's right.
So, realistically speaking, it's like it's not like, for example, this issue with that one clerk who refused to marry the gay couple.
Right.
I forget where she.
That was
from.
A while ago. Kentucky or Tennessee?
Kentucky, one of the two, right there. But there, you have the government actually denying what has been decided as a constitutional right, and so there you have a very interesting issue. Like, at what point do you have to provide that accommodation? Because in one sense, yeah, you're asking somebody to quote unquote go against their religion. I have my own ideas on that. But at the same time, as a government official, you cannot deny that right. So the question becomes is, do you have somebody who will fulfill that and say, hey, no, I won't sign this, but I have somebody who will.
Right.
Or
that's exactly it. Don't put yourself in a position to where you're going to have to use your religion to deny somebody a right.
Or as I would rather see it, because my opinion is that the government shouldn't be involved in deciding who is and isn't married. Period. End of story.
That's right.
The government can decide who is a taxable entity. Let them decide that. And the only decision that I care about in terms of marriage is, are they 18 or older? Legal age of consent.
Okay.
That's it.
Fine.
If they are legal age, I would two things I should say: legal age of consent and have the ability to consent.
I was thinking to myself, we need another age from 18 to 25. Like, I don't know if y'all are full on adults yet, but you deserve some certain freedoms. But my God, I don't want to give you the keys to anything just yet.
Well, and the reason I stick with 18 is that if you're old enough to die for your country, you're old enough to have a beer, a smoke, a joint, whatever.
Oh, I agree.
That's my mentality, because if we're gonna set it to 21, then by all means, then you can't recruit anybody into the army until 21. If you can't make the decision to go have a beer or go smoke a joint, then the fuck is this idea that they have the mental capacity to go kill somebody in a foreign country? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And I wanted to say, Vladimir Putin walks around strutting his stuff and smiling, but we all know him as a baby killer. But what was even really worse to me, Jeffrey, in the pit of my brain about that, was that he was sending young adults to kill babies. He wasn't himself doing it. He was he was having other kids kill kids, and that somehow made me feel really grosser about it.
Absolutely. And this is where I really I just this is where I have to keep this in mind. Governments make decisions for people. You know, they make these decisions that impact the world over. And I'm not going to sit down and criticize Vladimir Putin, necessarily for some of the shit that he's done. Let's be real honest. Our last move in Afghanistan was to bomb some kid's fucking birthday party. It's not like we really have a whole hell of a lot of high ground to talk on this. But what has to happen is that we have to have the conversation of why the fuck we need to be involved at all in another country. I've been struggling with our decision on Ukraine, and I've been trying to figure out why. And the answer for me that I have come to is that if our rationale for not getting involved in Ukraine is simply Russia as a nuclear power, what that means is that, number one, if you don't want the United States to be in your country, you need to become a nuclear power.
Right.
Or number two,
something North Korea has known for years.
Right. Or number two, we have to do a better job of creating coalitions, much like we did in Desert Storm, where there is a set goal, there is a set mission, and the mission, is very, very, very clear. And right now, you don't have that. The mission is supply a bunch of weapons and aid to Ukraine without really any end game other than hope you make it.
I think Ukraine needs to do it on their own. I don't think they don't want somebody to swoop in and take their victory away. I think we're doing it right. But what I do believe as far as nuclear weapons is that we should have every country with nuclear weapons sign something that says if we can get nukes out of Russia, we all get rid of our nukes. And then when the war crimes trial happens, we hold Russia accountable and say, you took advantage of these, you lose them. And they have to give up their nukes in this process of, reconciliation. And then everybody loses their nukes because Russia went first.
Nuclear weapons are truly evil. They're a very evil thing that I have idea. I think that is probably one of our biggest mistakes in the course of humanity is making the decision that we should have enough weaponry to glass the entire fucking planet and render it uninhabitable.
Mm-hmm. We only wanted the two, Jeffrey. That's all we were designed to make, but then a spy sent all of it to Russia. They built one, so we had to make a bigger one. Then they had to make a bigger one, so we made a bigger one. So they made more, so we made more. You know?
And
it's terrible. It was a terrible development on the timeline that I wish somebody in the future would go back and resolve. You know what I mean?
Right.
Honestly, like kill that spy, because we would have given up nuclear technology because it scared the shit out of everybody that witnessed it.
And here's the reality.
Russia.
Well, except the Soviet Union.
Russia was like, "Ooh, give me more of that."
And when you sit down and you think about how tragic nuclear weapons are, you have to think about the fact that they've only ever been dropped in anger twice, and it was us. And what it destroyed, it wasn't like, it destroyed just a military target.
No.
So many civilians were incinerated in a flash, and so many would later come down with radiation sickness, poisoning, cancers, birth defects. I mean, you think about the horrors of nuclear weapons, it feels like a fever dream because it happened so long ago. And realistically, when you live in an era of smart bombs, smart technology, and you're still fucking killing civilians,
right?
That's not a war crime. Exactly, it is.
But the devastating thing, Jeffrey, about a crime is anybody else committing a crime would be stopped in the act. But we can't stop him in the act. There's no body on the planet that says, you're committing a crime, stop, you're under arrest. You know?
And I think that's where my struggle has laid is because you have all of these war crimes going on, and I don't want us involved in a war, but at the same time, when you have this level of war crimes, it's that struggle of, somebody's got to stop him, but nobody's going to stop him, because if we try to stop him, it's going to get worse. And that's a really shitty, that's a really shitty metric to have to set to balance.
Exactly.
So I don't want to send our troops into a fight with the Russians. I really don't.
Mm-mm.
And part of that is because I honestly do believe he would use a tactical nuke. I really do. And my hope is...
Oh, of course he would. That's why he took Chernobyl. That's why he took the nuclear facilities.
My hope would be that, and there are some Russian commanders in there that would be like, no, fuck you. That's not happening. That's not what we're going to do. But at the same time, too, this is a person who has literally replaced 1,000 members close to him,
right?
Because he's afraid of getting poisoned.
The only reason Vladimir Putin is still in power is because the war is still going on, and he knows that once this ends, he is officially a loser. He officially loses, and the weight of the world comes down on him. The only thing stopping him is this war, and that's what I love. My story in my head is these drone strikes by the Ukrainian army. We're giving them bombs that are drones that can hover and hit and wait, and you know what I mean, and go 1,100 feet in the air and take out airplanes and take out troops. And I love this. I mean, Ukraine's going to win it. They're going to win on their own. And they're going to feel so proud that America, the big boy, didn't come in. And the world is going to feel better knowing that America didn't have to solve the problem all on its own, that we could have that coalition. This is going to make the world a better place. And Ukraine is going to be a part of the European Union. Somebody said it. After this, European Union is going to want to be a part of Ukraine. And that's true. Vladimir Zelensky is one of the most amazing men on the planet right now.
That's the thing is, Russia has done more to sell NATO membership than the United States ever could have. Number one, Russia has done more to sell membership to the European Union than the European Union could have. Number three, when Ukraine wins this, what you are going to see is the West come in. I mean, even China's going to try and come in and rebuild Ukraine.
Well, they have investment in Ukraine.
What you're going to see is that Ukraine is going to heavily, they are going to build up their army, provided that they hold out long enough to, Putin thinks that what's going to happen is you're going to get a neutral Ukraine that doesn't have an army, and that's not going to happen.
No.
But what you will see is a Ukraine that has a ton of weaponry, and what they will have is a highly trained force, most likely by the West, because we were in there training them. And you will see the West funnel a bunch of money into rebuilding them, much like we did with West Germany.
Oh, we'll have an air base in Ukraine, and there'll be a new Iron Curtain. What I think we should be moving in defensive technologies into Ukraine, closer and closer to the Russian borders for defense, but then keeping it there. You did this, Russia. You made us put this stuff here.
Right. I don't think you will see that, and the reason why I don't think you will see that is I think what you will see is Ukraine buy, purchase, even build their own systems to do that. And
I hope so.
I do think that you will see a quote unquote neutral Ukraine, but it's going to be more like I would say the Japanese style, where you will have a self-defense force, not necessarily like an army like ours or Russia's. You will have a highly trained, highly technologically capable self-defense force, and I think what you will see is Ukraine become the leader of helping other countries establish what that self-defense force looks like. And so it won't be a what's the word I'm looking for? It won't be a competitor to NATO.
No.
It will be, in a lot of ways, a supplement to it, simply because of the fact that you will now have a bunch of countries that will be able to stand up on their own. And I don't know that there will necessarily be any type of mutual aid, much like NATO. I think it's going to literally be countries that decide that they want a very capable self-defense force.
Estonia, Lithuania, Poland joining Ukraine in some sort of defense of their own.
Something like that. Something like that. And what you will see is Ukraine become the leader in helping other countries, other smaller countries like, say, Moldova or Georgia.
I hope so. I love all of those countries. Become
technically capable self-defense forces for their own country with no military ambitions of going anywhere else. It's literally going to be our weapons sit here on our border. They don't go anywhere.
That's what I hope. And my special shout out is to the Czech Republic. They gave Ukraine those drones, which just changed everything, and we know it. You can't even report it enough. So thank you. I believe
Slovakia is going to be handing over some S-300 missile systems.
Okay,
I think it is. They're Russian missile air systems.
I love it. The only reason that Ukraine is saying we want a no-fly zone, and I think what they're saying is, please help us, give us some troops that know how to use the equipment, and then give us so we can create our own no-fly zone.
And that's essentially what's happening.
Because they don't have the training on Patriot and Iron Dome. But if we could get somebody that just says, okay, I'm not in the army anymore for Israel, I'm going to Ukraine, and man that system and train, yes.
And now you understand why it's so hard to title our episodes. How do I take that? Was just 20 minutes of one episode. We cover as much as we can in an open discussion. We're not scripted. From time to time, I get topics in a note, and if we need a fallback, I have those to talk about. But we always tangent and divert from the original, and we go on perspective, and I love that. Hey, we had Karin from the EarKickApp on. You know by now we are big fans of mental health, taking care of your mental health, analyzing, tracking, understanding mental health, and so the EarKickApp is just a natural combination. One thing that we talked to Karin about was including more LGBT functions in the app, and she had discussed that. That was something that Jeffrey brought up, and we discussed, but it didn't get a lot of highlights. It didn't get a lot of titling and coverage and all that, but it is something that's really cool to ponder and think about. So thank you for listening to Public Access America. This is a great episode. Go back and check out all our episodes. Thanks.
One of the interesting applications that, especially as like right now, as a country, we talk about, trans people in athletics, in sports, in daily life, what gender identity looks like. I'm interested to see information around that, like, especially, because right now we look like in Florida, for example, this whole "Don't Say Gay" bill, and what that does to kids who are, looking at their gender identity and trying to understand where their place in society is, and adults who have kids that are questioning their gender identity, and adults who literally have, are on any line of the gender spectrum, and see where they're sitting when you have all of this news and information coming along, and what, especially like in Texas, for example, the idea that gender affirming care is considered child abuse. If you could take that data, and if that data shows that you have a kid that is happier and healthier, how is it considered child abuse if you have all of these markers that point to this kid is actually in a better position because of the treatment that they're receiving? I'm interested to see, have you guys discussed this possibility at all?
Not yet. To be honest, this is a very, very, very good idea. We haven't. I know that we have quite a number of people from like from
LGBT community.
LGBT community. Sorry, yes.
No, you have a great combination of accents. If you can't,
Yeah, you need to help me. For them, it's really about having a safe space where it's only about them, where they're not having to defend anything, where they're not having to, make sure they're not in a role.
They can stick their head up and say, "Is there anyone else like me?" and not get shot.
Yes, and they just come to terms with themselves and with there's so much going on, right? And that's why they like to use the app. But your idea is amazing. I'm going to take this back to the team, and this is definitely something we need to look at, especially because it's it really has an impact on that community, and politics is like they feel like, this is anecdotal, they feel like they wake up to new bad news basically every week, and they have like no say, and all they can do is like go to the streets or make their voices heard. But that takes so much energy. None of us goes to the streets every week for something that we think we deserve. We do that maybe a few times a year, but that's it. They feel like they have to literally live on the streets and always be holding this, always be pointing to what is their right. And that's just exhausting next to everything else. Yeah.
And and especially the conversation of whether or not kids are going to be taken away from their parents because the government says what they're doing is child abuse, when the child feels very clearly differently that it's not. Like, this is one of those things where, like, for me, the health of a person's mind is so important. Knowing that the health of my mind caused me so many problems for a long time. And who are we to decide when a person is healthy based on government policy, when we could have actual data that says, no, the gender affirming care, gender affirming surgeries, gender affirming mental health care is all part of this spectrum that can help a person improve their mental well-being. And then when a government comes to us and says, no, this is bad, we literally have data that can sit down and say, no, this is not actually. This is actually very important. And we have a bunch of research out there that from different psychiatrists, psychologists, any number of things. But if you were to actually take real live tracking information, and every single time one of these bans pops up, you can literally say, nope, this has been harmful, this has been harmful, this has been harmful. Yes. And every time you see news pop up about people getting gender rights, you can watch, this has been helpful, this has been helpful, this has been helpful. Yes. And literally you would be able to sit down and say, look, you can make policy that is going to be clearly harmful, or you can make policy that's going to be clearly helpful. Yes. And it's going to be, and especially, as people are trying to understand themselves, as they're questioning kids, for example, as they're trying to understand themselves, I feel like this could potentially give them and their parents and their doctors so much more insight than we are currently able to get.
Yes, there's so much opportunity in this. I see so much, lost productivity in always trying to bang the same drum and think the same way, where we know that, everything that's a little different or diverse is going to enrich us. It's never been the other way, right. And on all levels of society, not seeing that opportunity that we have all these wonderful species and wonderful people around us is tragic. It's stupid, really.
It really is.
Yeah.
And especially when we have the chance to help people get themselves on a mentally healthy track earlier in life. Like it took me like I said, starting in high school, it took me 15 years to get to the point where, medically I was healthy, and then really start to dive into the work years after that. But why, if we're able to cut that off earlier and do that for any number of things, that just seems like a giant win across the board.
Yes, especially knowing, data shows that 50% of the mental health disorders onset is before age 14 and 75% before age 25, I believe, 24, 25. Wow. So we even know when we have to do something. It's like before a child or a student hits 25, we got to be there. We got to have some track record. We have to have data, and it's everyone. It's not those, it's everyone. And if you're lucky and nothing happens in your life, fine, you can trash the data. Or you can use it to see, hey, thank you, I'm so grateful, everything went well. But there's
you can adopt me.
Yes, there's no reason to not focus on, and we're very focused on young people because we see so much opportunity to empower them and also to have our eyes on them. They're our future, really. And we know when it's happening. We know when the onsets are so early, right?
But now we don't have to compare ourselves to others to determine our mental health. Now we have the EarKickApp, and we can judge ourselves against ourselves. And that's the total difference, because nobody is like us except us.
It's the wonderful thing that we're a unique, everyone, each individual is unique. And the good thing is, somebody asked me just lately, but then, we're going to start comparing our mental health to each other's, like in sports. I said, no, because you're only comparing to yourself. There is no second you, it's not like comparing weight or height or anything of that. It's much more complex. And the good thing is it's you and you. And if you don't get along with yourself and your, and who you were before and who you want to become, what are you going to do? It's not a competition. It's all about being the best version of yourself that suits you. That is going to carry you throughout your life.
I love that. Thank you for being here, Karin.
Oh, my pleasure. You've given me so many ideas now.
I love it. But that's one of the things here, like at Public Access, we love the idea.
We love imagining. Yeah.
We love solutions, like putting ideas out there. Like, as somebody who's worked in a number of different settings, we know that initially, sometimes the first idea kind of sucks. But when you have more people talking, all of a sudden you get these beautiful ideas and that refined idea. And if somebody comes away with something that's going to be incredible and help the next group of people along, perfect.
Totally.
Thank you so much. I mean, this has given me so much. And we're just at the beginning of this movement of making mental health really measurable for everyone. And every voice counts, and every, person is going to be a warrior with us. Welcome.
Right.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time avoiding this and saying it's not a real thing. And like with disabilities, I'm going to end on this. With disabilities, mental health had a stigma attached. So we are some of the first generations to tackle this in an open way. Yeah. And so you offering data, giving people proof to their feelings, that's really cool. That's amazing. So we do this thing at the end of our show called Just the Tip, where we offer a 30-second tip to people. Karin, I'm going to ask you, do you have any tips for our listeners before we go?
Well, stay massively curious about yourself, your outer self, curious about the people to your right and to your left, and curious about what happens on the horizon. And it'll carry you, right? You'll find the tools. If you stay curious, you'll find the tools to live a very, very happy life.
You're creating one of those tools. How about you, Luna? Do you have any tips before we go? I'm sorry, Luna, do you have any tips before we go? Jeffrey, do you have any tips before we go?
I would say, much along Karen's idea, stay hungry for growth, because the thing about growth is that we all to this place where we're complacent and we're happy, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you always have the opportunity to learn something new, to pick up, maybe a new hobby, a new skill, or maybe just find out something really cool that you didn't know about, and you'll feel your life more enriched because you're just like, I didn't know something about this, and I went down this rabbit hole, and now I know something about this. Not an expert, but I feel awesome having learned something about something I didn't know.
Yeah, thanks. You made me learn about Rome last week. That was god-awful. That was god-awful. What they did was kill and enslave and rape people for 600 years. I was like, thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks for that one.
What can I say? I am a wealth of knowledge that might not necessarily make you feel better, but now that you can't just be like, oh, Rome, the glory days of me.
No, because there's a show called Rise by the Barbarians Rise, and I watched it, and it was the perspective of the oppressed. it wasn't based in Rome, it was based on Rome's victims. And yeah, it just made me so angry that slavery was just such a normal thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. Everybody go get the EarKickApp, and then can we have you come back in a month, and then maybe we'll see how progress is going,
Anytime. Yes. And also, I take the time for anyone who wants to, connect with me personally. I'm more than happy to hear more good ideas and more curiosity.
Okay. We will put your Twitter handle in the description. It's in the description of the live stream, but we'll put it in the description portion of the podcast so people can reach out to you on Twitter. And don't forget Public Access Pod on Twitter and Autonomous Angel on Twitter, because we're having some great conversations.
Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Yay. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Bye.
Yeah, you guys take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being here. That was amazing, wasn't it, Jeffrey?
Oh, that was incredible.
Nice.
That was absolutely incredible. And this is something that you and I have talked about a lot. We talked about mental health. And as a data person, I love the idea that this is going to offer a new potential tool for people. To be able to sit down and say, no, I'm not crazy. Something's happening to me. And especially for people who struggle to maintain control on their issues, it's going to, I would say that it's one in a variety of different healthcare apps that people are trying to build to help make daily life better.
Yeah.
This one, I can see where this has ramifications from anything like understanding your own mental health cycles to how geopolitical events affect groups of people, to how any
social
number
media
of
time,
screen time,
family time, like
absolutely. Like how work affects you, how not working affects you. It will offer us a unique insight into what makes a person's mind work, and it will offer people. I think it could offer people the potential to understand not only their own baselines, but where how certain things, it's like, for example, like the war in Ukraine,
to accept in others,
like the war in Ukraine, like for people to understand, hey, I'm not the only one having anxiety about this, and if there are
alone,
ways,
right?
Exactly, and that's oftentimes, like, especially as somebody with depression, I've oftentimes felt that it's like I'm the only one that is suffering with depression. Like, logically, I know that's not true, but
that's what your brain tells you. That's what my brain tells me.
Exactly. But then being able to see and stack that up against other people, if it's like, oh wait, I'm not the only one who feels that way,
right?
Like, And it gives you avenues.
People are avoiding me. Why are they avoiding me? Well, because I was a giant dick at the at the wrong time. You know what I mean? Like, what I love is the fact that it's not collecting them and tracking my data, and so it's private. It allows me to be private without Facebook selling that to some Egyptian king for nefarious purposes.
Got to make yourself laugh sometimes, right? Hey, go check out the EarKick app. We follow EarKick on Twitter at EarKickApp, and download the app in the App Store. It's ever evolving. It's amazing. It's created by people, for people, with integrity and empathy involved. They added an ambient mixer created by one of their consultants in Ukraine because the bombs were so loud. They needed something to counter that and help him relax and sleep, and so they came up with the ambient mixer, which is really incredible. Go check that out, and thank you to Karin for being on the show. This next clip is from an episode I called Check In on Your Funny Friends. As always, it's an open conversation and we move back and forth within topics. But a little Easter egg in this is Jeffrey records on Sunday morning. It's 9 in the morning where he is. And I don't see it a lot, but I have a feeling that Devi, his partner, is sitting behind him doing their normal Sunday thing of waking up. And so once in a while, I will throw a topic out to get Devi's attention more than Jeffrey's. And sometimes when Devi's in the room, that will go sideways because Jeffrey doesn't know how to answer because his default is to go to Devi's perspective, which makes sense when you question it or you don't know or you want to know more. Devi is the person on certain subjects to go and talk to. So this is something I just threw out there to see if it would stick, and I did not expect it to stick, and this is hilarious. The outcome is hilarious. So thank you for listening to Public Access America. We are a collective of perspectives, and we would love to have you involved. So if you get a chance, Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central Time on YouTube at Public Access America, we do a live stream, and you can even join the chat and leave comments, questions, arguments. I don't care. It's an open conversation, and the only way to get your perspective in there is to have you participate. So thank you for listening to Public Access America. We will be back next week.
Yep.
Thanks.
Basic, pretty basic. Have you heard of radical monogamy?
Oh God. I'm going to say this out loud, and Debbie is going to come storming across the room.
I do throw those little fish hooks out there in case she's in the room, just so they might be like, hey, I want to get in on this.
Have you heard of the term, and I quote, radical monogamy? Well, they just said, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's making the decision after exploring all of your choices. If you land on monogamy after considering all other options, it's radical.
Oh my God. Debbie's about to tear somebody a new one.
No. Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. We can thank Dan Savage from the Savage Lovecast for this one. As I was doing my note and listening to him, that was the opening statement. I thought it was just a fantastic thing.
Well, I don't know who came up with it, but I saw it making the rounds this week where they're talking about radical monogamy. And like you said, the idea that you've tried everything else and monogamy is the only thing that works for you. And I'm like, how the fuck is that radical?
Right. It fits into the bag of absolutes for me. Like, I never will know. So how do you know?
Radical monogamy falls under the same line as people who call themselves Sigma males because apparently alpha wasn't enough. And also people who call themselves pure strain humans because they didn't get the vaccine. That's how fucking stupid this is.
Wow, I thought it was just another gimmick to sell t-shirts.
We have a term for radical monogamy. It's called monogamy.
Right, but it's it's base. What they're saying is it's a base setting. Like nobody ever customized it. We assume that we have to be in a straight monogamous relationship, and then we need to explore that further. It's like we've already been told what we should do. It's a preconceived notion that we should be monogamous. I don't like the term. I agree with you. Monogamy is monogamy. We make that choice every day. Every time we wake up, we decide whether we want to continue to be in the relationship we're in, or if we want to change the parameters of that. You know what I mean?
Like there's monogamy, and then there's, ethical non-monogamy, and then there's, of course, unethical non-monogamy, but radical monogamy. I mean, you're so committed, it's radical. What the fuck?
Radical. It's radical because now monogamy isn't just.
Oh God, the straights have gone radical.
Right, but no, this isn't straight people. This is gay people creating radical monogamy.
I don't.
And it's also the gay people creating radical minority terms. This guy actually. He said he coined the phrase, and he picks on people that haven't chosen this path. So it's the exact same thing as every other monogamy. It's somebody judging you for the way you live your life. And it doesn't matter what you call yourself, because you are a version of it. If you're monogamous, you're your version of monogamy. If you're in a same-sex couple, that's your version of it. Polyamory, it's your version of it. It's not. You don't have to be polyamorous, defined by the dictionary as polyamorous, to live your life. You know what I mean?
It's that's the thing is, like,
this is the shortest line in my note, by the
way. This is the most painful one.
This is the one sentence.
Yeah, apparently you've inflicted pain. You've chosen the path of pain.
Wow.
I'm going to be surprised if Debbie's not over there just like trying to find anything and everything on it, so that way somebody can get destroyed later.
Yeah, then we'll do a whole second hour on it. You know what I mean? So Republicans are going after.
Wait, what?
What? Say what?
What did you say?
You're listening to Public Access America.
Apparently there's an article on it's the practical view of the 5 types of monogamy.
Wow, now there's 5 types. I love this.
God.
But that's my point. There's actually 350 billion versions of relationship out there. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. I think I might have had a stroke, Jason. I think this is it. This is my death note.
Uh-oh.
This is where it ends. Somebody did something really dumb.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
I brought it up. I'm sorry.
Like, here's the thing.
Did we move on to another topic?
No, we've got a hammer on this dumb shit, because this is amazing.
I like it.
So I'll say my piece on it.
Sure.
And I will, let smarter people than I decide whether or not they want to talk about it another time or not. Or, maybe there will just be like, some type of explosion of thoughts on how stupid something is.
Uh-huh.
But the reality is that like, so like, for example, one of them was like financial monogamy, and I'm going, what? Apparently it's where you share your bank accounts. So what? You share your bank accounts and nothing else? You know what we have? We have a term for that. Non-monogamous. or you share your love for each other, but what? Nothing else? We have a term for that. Non-monogamous. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God! Oh, you've got Debbie riled up.
Well,
Debbie's been up for an hour, and you've managed to piss him off.
That wasn't the plan. I'll go with it. I'll go with it. Hey, we're here for the next 2 hours. If you want to get in on this, Debbie, I will send you a link. We always respect Debbie, you know what I mean? But I also know that you're 2 hours behind me, so it's actually 9 a.m. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Debbie's literally over there just laughing and choking on their own coffee and spit, because this has literally caused us all to just start drooling. This has literally lowered our IQ points to I don't know, like, who thought somebody needs to tell the media to stop. just because you see something, that doesn't mean you need to write an article on it.
Right. Okay.
Insane.
So fuck you, Dan Savage.
Wait, please confirm. Did Dan Savage come up with this?
No, Dan Savage did not come up with this.
Dan Savage did not come up with this. Apparently, he just talked about it on his show.
Yeah, it was his opening statement on his last episode.
And
it's
a Vice article. Oh God.
I put it in my note as a question so that I could look into it further, and I just moved on to other things because it was that stupid to me.
Yeah, I saw this. So there's a person I follow called PolyAmFam, and apparently like he did a skit on radical monogamy, and I saw that there was the Vice article on it in his post, and I was just like, oh, this is dumb. This can't be a thing. Oh God, I'm wrong. It hurts.
Yeah.
So look, find the relationship dynamic that works for you, and stop calling it weird fucking things. Like this is. Monogamy without the misogyny. Yeah, so monogamy without the misogyny. What the fuck? Okay, sure. You know what? We're just gonna call this really fucking dumb, and we're gonna move on because this is actually insane. Somebody felt really fucking left out, and they came up with something that they could sell to Vice and be like, no, I'm not super straight. I'm radically monogamous. Like it's going to be any fucking different. It's still insane. It's like the concept of, people who call themselves super straight because apparently straight wasn't straight enough. I'm like, what? What?
Well, how about this? I sent Devi a link, and if they want to come and check in, then they can, and we can continue this discussion.
Yeah,
I would love to continue this discussion because to me this was a marketing throwaway, media thing. Like we're low on news, so let's come up with another term.
Which I'm surprised that's they decided to pick up on that. Yeah, we'll let Devi read, and if Devi decides they want to chime in and
sure. I thought this was a commercial sort of gimmick. I didn't think this was something serious, but if it's giving you a stroke, then I really do want to cover it in more of a meaningful way than a one sentence.
I don't know that there is.
I also don't want to. I don't want to give this stupid stuff attention. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't think there is a meaningful way to cover this other than somebody had an idea and they really needed to stop and don't. Yeah. Okay. So.
That's cool.
Yeah. Please, something else. I think I'm.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody else smell burnt toast? Hey, it smells like burnt toast in here.
So Jeffrey, are you looking for a way to kill yourself?
Dude, I've been dead twice. I have literally been flatlined twice, and I'm still alive. So at this point, I'm just living in spite of everything. So the answer is no. I have plenty of creative ways to off myself. Personally, I'm just going to hold out for nuclear apocalypse. So that way I can just grab myself a folding chair and a cooler with a beer in it and bratwurst and a stick. And I'm literally just going to find myself an open field and I'm just going to look for the direction that the nuke falls. I'm just going to get fucking naked and I'm just going to lean back with a beer in my hand and a fucking bratwurst on a stick and point it towards the fucking mushroom cloud and be like, yeah, fuck it. Chaos it is.
I just hope I have enough time and money to get to Seattle before all that. Are you talking about feeling hopeless?
Wait, you mean there was hope out there?
Are you feeling trapped?
Well, if we're talking about the band Trapped, no, I don't feel.
Are you a burden to others?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. Are you increasing your drug and alcohol use?
Maybe.
Are you acting a lot more anxious and agitated? Are you sleeping too little or too much?
I never sleep enough. And in fact, the fucking dog kept waking me up every 30 minutes last night. Fucking dog. Like literally, I literally would get her, like I got her out of bed to see if she'd actually lay down and just like calm down. She would get up, fucking run around the room, and then I'd put her back in the cage, and she'd start fucking pawing at the cage and groaning every 30 minutes. So I'm like, finally at one point I'm like, I can't, maybe I should just take her out. Maybe she's got to go to the bathroom. No, that wasn't it. No. So fuck.
Dogs are a responsibility that take away the joy of life. Do you find yourself withdrawing or isolating more?
I wouldn't say that. I would say that, COVID kind of isolated a lot of people, and now I'm pretty much ready to just get the fuck out.
Are you showing signs of rage or talking about acts of revenge?
Rage, yes. Revenge? I don't know who's on my shit list anymore.
It was on a floppy disk.
Yeah, it was on an old thumb drive that was, had 512 kilobytes of space that totally got nuked when I needed to turn in a final and lost it completely.
Gotcha.
Back in 2005.
Well, if you're feeling a majority of those things, you could be somebody that's showing signs of wanting to commit suicide, and you should seek help or a friend.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like there are so many great reasons to stay alive. If you can, like I say that because I have lost people that I love, and
me too.
And the reality is that when somebody doesn't want help, there's nothing you can do to stop it, and it's hard. It hurts. Yeah. It hurts a lot, and especially when you have people like that who have been around you, for years, been close to you for years, and suddenly that's just a void there. It's and there was also that realization for me too after I had gotten better and that had happened and I lost a really close friend. I knew what I was feeling and how badly it hurt, and so I could only imagine what family members were feeling in that moment. And it's one of those things like you can always find your reason to keep going. The question is do you have the fight left in you, and are you willing to accept a hand to help get you up? Now I will say I want to make a very strategic difference here between suicidal ideation and people who are terminal that refuse to suffer for what is left of their life,
as well as the disabled people that don't want to be killed. I just found that out. There's an opposition to euthanasia because it's used. Dude, they sterilize fucking disabled people in surgeries without their knowledge or consent. Anyway. So, I mean, there's a lot of versions of wanting to die, not wanting to die. It's an individual choice, but I get where you're coming from. But I do have a question when you finish up with that.
Yeah. So for me, like I found that there were a number of things that I absolutely wanted to go for after having tried and failed, after having external factors try and fail. It's like, well, these things couldn't kill me and I couldn't kill me, so fuck it, we're going to go for it. You know what?
As well as that stuff doesn't fulfill you. External things don't fulfill an emptiness in you. A chemical imbalance, yeah.
And I made it a goal to try and figure out for myself what was wrong with me. Was there something wrong with me? And turns out I burn serotonin like it's fucking rocket fuel.
Oh. Okay.
So, where most people get they can get enough serotonin from vitamin D sources and the sun. I can't. No matter what happens, I burn it like it's rocket fuel, and then I crash. And so, medication I take stops the reuptake of it. So, I absolutely have enough to go around.
A lot of my friends have a story of that. Of a suicide attempts, and I'm so grateful to have y'all in my life, to be able to reach out to the people that I know could have gone and the people that I'm part of their new life. Like they're done giving up, they're going to try, and then I get to be their friend. I'm really grateful to all of you. But one little trivial thing. Suicide really hurts. Death really hurts the people around that.
Mm-hmm.
My first wife died 8 times, flatlined 8 times. My second wife died twice. So I've been around that. Those weren't well, I don't think that the drug overdoses, it's convoluted. But what I want to ask you is, because when I started researching this and I couldn't come up with an answer, is there a way to communicate to those that you love, even some of just a couple of the closest, that this is something you're going to do and you don't want to leave them in that spot? Like, I think people that are thinking about suicide quietly, almost passive aggressively, kind of leak it out and leave people clues, so that when suicide does happen, their loved ones are left backfilling the reason. Is there, like, if you want to have euthanasia and you go to Sweden, your family has to know about it. Like, they, you know what I mean, for legally. Yep. So is there a way? But I understand that's so tricky, and I couldn't come up with an answer for it, and I couldn't find anything on Google. How do you tell your loved ones you want to commit suicide without having them stop you?
To those who would tear the world down, we will defeat you. This is our moment. This is our time. To those who seek peace and security, we support you. Yes, we can. And to all those who have wondered if America's beacon still burns as bright, tonight we prove once more that the true strength of our nation comes not from the might of our arms or the scale of our wealth, but from the enduring power of our ideals: democracy, liberty, opportunity, and unyielding hope.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbow. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life.
Ask not.
Yes, we can.
What your country can do for you.
I have a dream.
Ask what you can do for your country.
My poor little children.
Yes, we can.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression.
In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Welcome to Public Access America.
Yes, we can.
Sunday live streams on YouTube.
I wanted to run out of that tunnel for my dad.
On Twitter.
What?
Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Smart Radio Public, and Spotify.
Yes, we can.
Public Access America. History in the making. Making history in the making.
A Fortune Forecast Update, brought to you by the Ohio Lottery.
Well, hey there, Ohio. We're tracking a lot of jackpot activity over the next few days. We have Rolling Cash 5 and Lucky for Life in the forecast the entire week. But we also have major drawings for Powerball moving in, followed by scattered Mega Millions drawings through the week, with some classic lotto drawings popping up here and there as well. There are big drawings every day, so stay tuned to the Fortune Forecast Center for the latest jackpot developments.
Lottery players are subject to Ohio laws and commission regulations. Please play responsibly.
Don't sleep on the newest innovations in wellness, or maybe do. Introducing Force Factor's Somnipure, Only at the Vitamin Shoppe, the new Somnipure line of drug-free sleep aids includes a muscle recovery formula to help you relieve sore muscles and improve sleep quality. Plus, for the first time ever at the Vitamin Shoppe, an easy-to-drink, fast-acting liquid solution with melatonin and natural botanicals to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed. Sleep stronger with Somnipure at vitaminshoppe.com or the Vitamin Shoppe store near you.